Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Job, the first chapter. And as we go into the book of Job, you know, when you look up the timeline, right, and time period of Job, you know, you can get a sense even from how the book is formed, certain things that you see either Job doing, right, or the language that they even use, that this had to be, in pre patriarchal times, right, or right around there, meaning somewhere around the time of Abraham, probably Isaac and Jacob, maybe around that time, where Israel hadn't formed into a nation yet, right? You didn't have like the Levitical priesthood and all those things just yet. Okay, so but you still had knowledge of the Most High on the earth. Okay, and so here as we go into the book of Job, let me actually pull up here, see if we can find some information on Job, Bible. Yeah, this is crazy work. These depictions are wild. All right, so let's click on here. Boy, Esau got a lot to pay for. I don't know what that picture is. Anyway, it looks like something from the movie. Damn, what's that movie? Oh, damn, can't believe it escaped me. But basically, in the movie, you had some creature that looked like that was in the basement, right? This guy's basement. I think it was through the years and years of incest. You had this super big, giant, naked woman that was in there like a beast. And he had the main character go in there, and it was like a horror movie, but I forgot the name of it. Anyway, so it says here, Job is the central figure of the book of Job in the Bible. I'm just looking for the time period where they have it here. I suppose. Okay, well, it doesn't really look like they list much about it here. That's okay. Anyway, this is the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God, and eschewed evil, or eschewed evil. The Uz, right? When we look up Uz, they place that somewhere, south of Edom. Okay, maybe a little north of the land of Uz Bible. And this is just like a estimated placement. Okay, this is one image here, right? See, they have it placed somewhere around here. Yeah, so you have the Levant region, you have the east of the Jordan, then you have Edom over there, Midian, and then so they place it somewhere around here. Okay, it's like southeast area of the land. But as it says here, he was perfect and upright. Now, when you go into that word perfect, it goes into lacking nothing. Okay, let's look into that word. Thumb. It says perfect, complete, one who lacks nothing in physical strength, beauty, etc. Okay, so in modern English, one would say he had it all. And upright, so he was a righteous man and feared God, and he basically stayed away from evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, which would be more. That would be more than 500 oxen, because a yoke is either a pair or a group. So having 500 yokes is like saying having 500 pairs of sneakers. That would be more than 500 individual sneakers or shoes, right? So it says here, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household. So he had he was like an Abraham, in terms of riches. Um, just for an idea in your head. It says here, and was a very great and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. So he was well known. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one on his day. So they had an appointed times, right, where they would hold these feasts amongst themselves, right, and sent and called for their three sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so when the days of their feasting were gone about, so when at the end of their feasting, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts." Thus did Job continually. All right, so he offered these burnt offerings, sort of in the spirit of like sin offerings, just in case, to appease the Lord and forgive them if they had transgressed in any form. And you see here, it's once again in him offering these offerings, it's kind of like how Abraham offered offerings to the Lord, right? There wasn't really much of um, a formal way of doing it, like how you had when the Lord established the priesthood when you go into the books of the Torah, right? But in any case, he did this continually to cover his children. Now there was a day, right? This is verse 6, and this is dealing now with the assembly or the gathering of the angels in the spirit world. So it says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord Yahweh. So in the heavens, the sons of God here being the angels, they all came to like an assembly to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them. And why did Satan come there? Because he is also a son of God. Contrary to modern Christian dogma, Satan is not fighting against the Lord. Okay, here Satan presented himself to the Lord because he is also one of the sons of God. But he is highlighted here because the focus is going to zoom in on his conversation with the Lord. Now, if he's fighting against the Lord, what business will he have presenting himself in the presence of the Lord? Why the Lord should have just eviscerated his ass at that point. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Satan, "Whence comest thou?" It's kind of like asking for a status report, like where are you coming from? What's new? What have you been up to? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." Because just like you have angels on the right hand side, you have angels on the left hand side, Satan being one of the top angels on the left hand side, and he has a job to do as well. So going to and fro in the earth is him going about looking for, targets and setting things in motion on the left hand side that the Lord has given him, leeway to do. And the Lord said unto Satan, "Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth?" So have you seen Job, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Doth Job fear God for naught?" So, well, yeah, he fears you, but you think it's just for nothing? "Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side?" So of course he's going to fear you. You've protected him, you've blessed him, and his possessions and everything he has. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath. So take action against him now. Take away all the possessions you've given him, all the blessings, and watch how quick he'll curse you, right? And he will curse thee to thy face. So this is you know, like the saying, right? This was like a bet with the Lord and Satan, like a challenge, right? Like, well, you're boasting in Job. Let's see if he's really about it, as you say. Satan is saying that this is because of the things you've given him, right? This is not just because he's just loyal to you just for the sake of it. And the Lord said unto Satan, "Behold, all that he hath is in thy power." So here the Lord gave Satan permission to say all the things that are given to Job, his blessings, or everything he has, you can go and I've given you jurisdiction over it. You can do whatever you want with it. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand, but you cannot touch him. Don't harm him, but you can take away his possessions. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So here, as you can see, if the Lord had not given Satan that permission, he couldn't go and touch Job. That's why he specifically mentioned the hedge the Lord had put around Job. So Satan couldn't, harm Job or his substance. And here, the Lord basically took that hedge away by giving Satan that permission to go ahead, but not to harm Job. So what does Satan go and do? Full speed ahead, right? That's going to really put this guy to the test, right? And there was a day when his sons, this is back on earth now, dealing with Job. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. Right, so we had the ox yoked together, and we were plowing, we were breaking up the earth, they were driving it, and the asses were feeding, they were eating, and the Sabeans fell upon them. Now here it mentions the Sabeans, then it mentions the Chaldeans, and then I think another group in here. And these, you remember that at this time, right, these were likely early, formations, right, of like the Chaldeans we know become the ruling class, right, of the Babylonians. But at this point, they likely had not been established as that just yet, right? So more like early Mesopotamian groups here, and more specifically raiders here that came and took advantage of or came and attacked Job's substance. So starting with the Sabeans, when you look into that, it goes into descendants of Sheba, which were dwelling in that region. It says here, it fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants of with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So they killed everybody, and then they they took all your substance, and I'm the only one who was able to escape, to come and give you this message. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep. Now, this is likely obviously the working of Satan, but the fire of God, would imply likely just fire that was, not man-made, but maybe it actually did fall from the sky, right? Or was set out of nowhere and destroyed his sheep. And remember, Job had a lot of substance, and the servants, and consumed them. So it killed the sheep and the servants. And kind of like Elijah's situation. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. And while he was yet speaking, so it's not like these things happened over 5 to 10 years, and no. All these life-changing and altering disasters occurred upon Job at once. As he's hearing this news, then another one comes and interrupts and says, "Oh, wait, hold on. This is I just got word, or this just happened," and boom. So it says here, and while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands, which are 3 groups, and fell upon the camels and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I am escaped alone to tell thee. So here it is, as they were eating and drinking, boom, a mighty wind, some storm, some shaking, just boom, caused the house to collapse, and now they're all dead. Then Job arose and rent his mantle, which when you go into that word mantle, it goes into like a layer that was wore over your cloak. I think it mentions it symbolizes, or yeah, it says here, a garment worn over a tunic by men of rank. Okay, which shows you that Job, as it says, he was great. He was a great man. So he ripped that up, he tore it, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. Basically, like, he didn't come onto the earth with all these possessions, neither is he going to leave with all of them. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord Yahweh. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So even upon hearing all this bad news, he didn't just turn around and just start wilding out and accusing the Lord and, as it says, charging or blaming the Lord foolishly, but acknowledged and knew that, hey, these were all given to him of the Lord, and if the Lord so pleased, he could take them away just as easily. And that brings us to the end of the book of Job, the first chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.